kiss and hug me. Come on, strong, go on and love me. Let's not waste that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say, if you want to be more than friends, got some love I'd like to make.
Welcome everyone to another Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. Hi, Charles.
Hello, Deborah. Hello, everybody. You had some interesting observations on, the obvious, talk of everything that's gone down with this girl, formerly known as Hannah Montana. How do you think that whole thing, I guess there's a marketing point to it, and what do you think, that whole shock value thing means? I mean, does it, do you think that the eyeballs are permanent? Because you were saying a little bit about that. I was wondering what your perspective is on that.
Well, I was disturbed by it, and then I was, I'm trying to think, well, it's not my life. Am I judging? I'm trying to figure out why am I disturbed by this. And I read an article that really pegged it on why it probably is more disturbing to especially parents of tween girls, or that they were tweens during the time of the Hannah Montana, was because, you're off busy making supper, whether you're the mom, the dad, that, you're off working, whatever. Not that you should be using the television as a babysitter, but you're putting your tween daughters down here thinking, wow, they're learning wholesome, good values from this Hannah Montana. And hey, the actress is Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter. This is really good. I don't have to worry about them while they're watching this. And, if you saw the video, there's different points where they scan the audience. And you see these girls now, maybe 5 years later, whatever, and they're just like, on, they're looking like, hey, I want to go do that. I want to do what Miley's doing. And it's like, what are we doing? We're creating a whole nother generation. And maybe I'm just old and thinking forward, but it's like, if girls go out and do what Miley's doing, we're going to have some broken relationships. We're going to have kids without dual parents. We're going to have some real icky situations because these tweens have grown up and said, hey, I can do what Miley's doing.
Do you think, and I was wondering about this, do you think that somebody in some corner office is thinking, it was unfortunate, but it's okay because of the attention that we got to this, and because of the number of times it's being shared and talked about, and do you think there's somebody someplace thinking this is good for us, right, that it went down this way?
You want the politically correct answer, or do you want the mother answer? I think
No,
if they're
of course
thinking
not.
that, they're being selfish, because and maybe part of this is because I am studying to be a psychologist, and I'm looking at the value of the person. Now, if Miley does not value herself, and I don't know, maybe this is the opposite and she does value. I'm not here to analyze Miley or what she's doing as she herself. If she's in her bedroom and she wants to do it with a poodle, I don't care. I don't want to know.
Right.
That's Miley's life, and I'm not going to judge her for what she does with her life. But having been a Disney character that was a role model for children, that I do have an issue. But, it's not 100% Miley's fault. It's like you said, as far as the networks or whoever's allowing. I mean, somebody must have known that this was a little bit on the edge because that stage was ready for her. So there are a lot of people that are involved, and what are they doing to the next generation? When those network heads, they're in the old folks' homes saying, why isn't there any money to feed me anymore? Why are they practicing euthanasia or unplugging? Go look at the generation that's in charge of making those decisions. Dude, you made that generation. You corrupted that generation. Now you're paying the price. And I'm like, does anybody look at what they're doing to society? And I'm not being a prude. Again, if she wants to rub on a foam finger in her room, honey, go have at it. Whatever.
Right.
I'm not going to judge you.
Right.
Well, that was not politically correct.
I go back to this. Right. No. Right on. No. But I'm going back to that book. Ryan Holiday, and I should email him because this guy answers all the email. And every time I've emailed him about stuff like this, he says, "Yep, this is exactly what they wanted." and I have an email about this, and I might. I'm pretty sure he's gotten a ton of it. I just wonder if people are just kind of like, are we at that place where, and again, as online marketers, you and I, care how we get the click, right? Are we at that point? Because
I think we're past that point.
With respect, that's this thing got massive amounts of sharing and clicks and views and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know if there is an individual video or an individual web page, but anybody that played it, right? Anybody that put it on their whatever it is, they got a lot of attention. They got a lot of commentary. They may not ever get it again, but look, advertisers pay for impressions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they made money. They made some money if they're making it off the impressions. They did really well.
They made a lot of money this time, and they knew that. And so I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about Miley's. Like you said, that stage was set up. They knew this thing was going to go down exactly the way it was going to go down. They had to know this, and somebody, someplace, it got to be.
Yep. It's not all Miley's fault. And, I think when you say this stuff, it's people think, oh, okay, she's being a prude, or it's about values or religiosity or whatever. And it really isn't. It's personally, I'm looking at the society saying, how much rocking of the boat can we take? Like you said, now I got to go look that up because I wasn't aware of that. But you said that the Cheerio incident became a racial incident. I feel like, did I hear you right?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
If it goes that far, if you're harming...
it was kind of like, well, they posted the thing on YouTube, and then supposedly lots of people started commenting on YouTube, and they were quote unquote against interracial marriage because that was that was what was happening, and but I mean, it's kind of like it just smelled kind of like that's for those of us who are kind of on the inside. And we know how you could easily manufacture that if you wanted to. Like, I know how you could manufacture fake comments if you wanted to on YouTube. It just smelled bad, especially after I read Holiday's book. Let's Holiday out of it. You can easily start a tornado around stuff if you want to, right? If you do that. But again, man, Is it really at that point where it's just the click is just almighty? Hurting
people. I mean, okay, it's not like, oh, wow, I stubbed my toe. I mean, that means that you're doing an awful thing because I stubbed my toe or my feelings were hurt. There's got to be a balance, and I don't know what the metric is. But when, like the example as far as if girls are going out and trying what Miley did. Now, Miley did it in a safe environment. It's unlikely that Miley was going to be harassed on stage. So she was actually in a safe environment doing what she was doing. But where is the child watching that, whether they were actually there or watching it on YouTube saying, I can go try this in the red light district, I can go try this downtown LA, and I'll be just fine because Miley did it and nothing happened to her. I mean, we can't assume that everybody's thinking really logically and clearly.
Or just around the football team. You know what I mean? You just don't you can't control the way people are going to respond to this, and you're right. Now, my girls have not seen it, and I mean, I probably won't show it.
I wouldn't show it my kids. So yeah, great. Wow, check this out.
First of all, I mean, probably the folks who are watching us right now are probably like us. We probably work all the time, so a lot of us don't have time to watch a lot of television, right? So a lot of us didn't see it anyway, right? Just as a time, it wasn't even a moral thing. It was kind of like, I wish I had 3 hours to sit down and watch something. I can't remember when I had 3 or 4 hours to sit down and watch. Like when my friends ask me, "Did you see the game?" I'm like, "Did I see Are you asking me if I saw the highlights?" Yes. I don't have 4 hours to sit down and watch a football game. That's the luxury. I don't have that luxury. So I'm guessing that a lot of folks that we're talking to probably may not have seen it live, but there were a lot of people who were watching. If I looked at my Facebook page, there were people who were following this live, live, and typing in on Facebook. And it's, I don't know, it's just like you said, you don't want to sound like a prude, but man, she has now pushed it a little farther. So what's next?
Exactly. And this article I read was talking about how they surveyed parents, and they said, what source has caused the most trouble as far as parenting your teen daughter? And by far, Miley Cyrus. I mean, she was above Lindsay Lohan, above Kardashians, everyone. And they said a lot of it is that some of the others, they didn't spend as much time in that kind of innocent age enough where society could accept it. Like the Kardashians, there wasn't an expectation for them to be like Hannah Montana. So there's a little more freedom to be themselves. And that's where that crux comes in, is that this was the role model. And yes, does she have the freedom to be who she wants to be? Yes. But does Disney need to pay a little bit more money and say, hey, we need you to kind of, behave in this certain way for 5 years past the contract, and we will give you extra money just to continue to be a good role model? Is it possible that Miley's struggling with that role model and wants to find her own identity? I'd like to say, Miley, please understand that there are, probably millions of girls looking at you. Do you care what happens to them when they try this out on the street?
Yeah, I gotta believe Disney. Gotta believe Disney probably cares to the point where people are gonna talk about it. But we both know how this goes. Then we'll be talking about, so the Miley Cyrus thing falls a couple of pegs, and then it's forgotten. So Disney is not going to be under any pressure, number one. Number two, Miley Cyrus is not going to be under any pressure, right? So all she's got to do is stay hidden for a couple of days. And then we just wait for the next shocking incident,
Exactly.
And so who's going to take it further and farther up the line?
Can you imagine Shirley Temple? Have you ever seen Shirley Temple reruns and the cute little 3-year-old dancing, whatever? Can you imagine if Shirley Temple at 20 had done this? What would that do? There's
Right.
like a whole,
Right.
all of these cutesy little movies that got people through a real difficult time. And can you imagine if she went out and did that?
No, I realize that, and a lot of girls got to think now. You'd almost have to feel, and I'm pretty sure there's some parents who feel betrayed, right? They felt like, well, as you said, okay, it's Hannah Montana. You're okay. You can go ahead and watch that. Or, no, I prefer you watch television. Oh, Mom, it's Hannah Montana. Okay. All right. Well, just this, and then, on to bed. But now, it's like you said, it's that, who knows? Is she going to be the Pied Piper? You'd like to think that, kids are a little more sophisticated than that. But we both know that there are going to be some that are not going to be.
Hey,
Right?
they're
If
still
they're just
developing.
going to say,
Still adolescents, as far, what is it, 14, 24, whatever. They're still developing.
Right.
And Charles, you and I didn't know everything we were back then. We don't now either of it.
right, yeah.
I'm scared when I think of my own mistakes, let alone adding in some more
Right.
opportunities for some of this other stuff.
But we didn't have the internet.
That's true. I saw a comment somewhere. Now I lose track. Miley was everywhere. This young man made a comment on the YouTube saying, when my mom came in, I had to switch to porn because it was easier to explain. For a moment that's funny, and then that's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I
he's
get
probably just
what
making
he's
a joke,
saying.
but-
Might probably making a joke, but jokes are a little more crass than when we were coming along, and I get it. Really, I probably don't like the way he said what the substance of what he was, that this was outrageous. It was outrageous.
He's trying to explain to his mom what he's watching. It was just easier if you just all out.
And nobody nobody came to. It wasn't Miley that needed to be rescued. It was us,
Hmm.
right? It was kind of like we all need to be rescued, and nobody stopped it. So you know what I mean? If you're Disney, right? If you they would never even be able to make the case because you could say that, hey, you know what, man? Yeah, we knew it was a little, when something's going down that's crazy, they come. There's a 7-second delay. They'll kill it. None of Miley knew what she was doing, but they knew what they were doing too, and they didn't come to our rescue. And it was them that, to me, should have had more respect for those little girls that they knew would have been following this girl. To say,
I
you know
couldn't
what,
agree more.
man, we better think this girl's going off the deep end. But why would you kill something if it's gonna be a golden goose for you?
You end up chasing your tail. You're going in circles as far as, and I saw some pictures where it almost looked like the executives were a little disgusted themselves. But you know that if that's not to judge any of them, but I mean, if there's some cash going in the pocket, are you going to go kill the fattened calf?
Hmm. Right, and it's gonna keep going in their pockets. Like I said, until the next big deal. Right, it's a big deal today. And for those of us who are in marketing, right, this is a point when I would almost always think about marketing, and I think, man, are you ever going to be put in that position where right, we know now what would sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know what would sell. That could launch their site, that could launch their traffic, that could do a whole bunch of stuff for them. And it doesn't have to be this incident with Miley Cyrus, but I'm pretty sure we're all going to come in contact with having to deal with this issue where, hey, this thing will skyrocket my traffic and all my other stats and everything else and raise my profile. Or I can say, I'm gonna err on the side of being a little prudish and say, no, we're just not gonna do that. And the truth of the matter is, we're not gonna get a pat on the back for doing that, right? It's
I
not
can
like somebody's
definitely
gonna say,
attest to
you know
that.
what, I'm glad you stuck to your gun. Nobody's gonna say that. People are just gonna say, they're just gonna move on. They can say, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, what else is going on now?" I mean, it's just where we are. So I guess in years past, we raise our kids and we tell them, you know what? When you do good things, the right people are gonna pat you on the back and say, "Atta boy."
It doesn't seem to work that way. I mean, one of these days I'm going to write a book and actually tell all, because I can't tell all right here. But yeah, if I may say so, it kind of sucks to be ethical, because we actually, somebody said to me, he said, Deborah, we found that you can't be bought. And that's so true, that sometimes when you really draw that line and say, I will be ethical no matter what, that's where the rubber really hits pavement and you feel the pain points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boy, did I turn into...
Yeah.
I disappeared. I'm looking at my avatar. Okay. All right, I'm back. Kind of interrupted the flow on that one. But, you
Right.
can't expect everybody to be able to... It's like each of us has our breaking point. And I'm not going to go out and judge. If there's a hooker out there, and that's what she's doing, and I think I've said this before, that's how she's feeding herself. I'm not going to go judge her, if she's doing what she needs to do. But I would like to think as a greater community that if we already have enough to pay for the food, can we think twice before we're hurting young girls? And what's happening? I mean, a little fib over here, maybe they'll say, hey, that's not hurting anyone. But when we go so far that we're actually hurting human beings, have we gone too far?
I mean, crisis, drama, ghetto, it all sells. It all sells. It brings eyeballs product. Now, does it move product with people like you and I? And you and I, do we represent the majority? You can't sell to me that way. But let's face it. You probably got my attention. You could have probably drawn me to your website, right, with that madness, right? I probably looked at one website, and if you had an ad there of something, if let's say you were retargeting me, right, you brought me to your site with this craziness, and then somebody else is retargeting me, and they got me like right there, it worked. So,
Yep.
And it's probably really just that simple. That probably sold product. It's probably still selling product, and it's going to keep selling product because, amen, it's just, and so yeah, and because as a result of that, yeah, teenage girls are going to be hurt. Parents are going to be hurt as a result of that. But, I don't know. What do you do?
You know what? Come to think of it, I actually wrote an article on it because it's news. I wrote an article for Examiner, and I actually get paid page views. That's not why I wrote it, but it's like, oh wow, that article's getting hit. It's like, that's not what my intention was, to get paid for writing it. But you're absolutely right, Charles. And at that point, how can we go judge people for making a few extra bucks to feed their family? And at that point, it looks more like Miley is really kind of the victim in this. I mean, she may have gone along with it. She may be technically and legally an adult, but I feel bad for her that she kind of got sucked into this machine.
Mm-hmm. Well, eyes wide open, but then eyes wide open as a 20-year-old, and
I didn't know much at 20.
and somebody is no, right, and again, once again, I did not have the internet. If I had the internet at 20, first of all, I would graduate it. There'd be no way I'd have grabbed the internet. So, I mean, I recognize that, but her eyes are wide open. Will she regret this at 30? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the drum beat is just gonna keep going, and then she just goes to the next thing, right? Maybe she gets a Hollywood role as a result of this. I mean, then does it pay off? I don't know.
Well, thanks, Charles, and thanks, viewers.
No, thank you. Yeah, bye everybody.
Don't you wanna kiss and hug me? Come on, strong, go on and love me. As I'd waste that big old moon, wake up and smell the perfume. Just say, if you wanna be more than friends, got some love I'd like to make. Maybe you can squeeze me, I won't break. We could be in a paradise, you and me. Until then, I'll remind you again, just say when. Oh yeah, until then, I'll remind you again, just say when. Oh baby, just say when.